Don't try and stop the foreclosure process. Let it run its course and hit the bottom.
So you stick by what you said. Don't try to stop the foreclosure process, even though it's going on and maybe hurting a lot of Nevadans. Listen, I understand you're a free market guy. You're clear on that.
It depends when you say don't stop.
That's what you said.
I know that's what I said.
Okay.
When I say don't stop the foreclosure process, what I mean by that is the best way to stop it is by getting the economy going.
Playing devil's advocate here, sir. Look, Mitt Romney doesn't want to help me. The president does.
The president's been in office for 3 years. If they feel he's helped them, they ought to vote for him. If they feel that the economy is going in the right direction, they ought to vote for Barack Obama.
And that's how Mitt Romney writes Democratic campaign ads. Every Friday morning, I wake up and think, it's Friday. It's going to be a relaxed day. I could take it slow. There's nothing going on. It's Friday. And then Fridays keep turning into these huge news days. I mean, today we got the news that the Komen Foundation has caved after everybody got so upset with them for going along with this right-wing defund Planned Parenthood jihad, after their affiliates started balking and their staffers started quitting, after the internet essentially sharpened their pitchforks and lit their torches. Komen has caved, the Komen Foundation saying they are undefunding Planned Parenthood. Also, we got this major economic news today. The stock market closing higher than it has since the financial crisis. The Dow closing higher than it has since May 2008. The NASDAQ closing higher than it has since the year 2000. Unemployment dropping to the lowest it has been in 3 years. And on the same day we get that news, Mitt Romney in Nevada says if you think the economy is now going in the right direction, you should vote for Barack Obama. Okay. Meanwhile, the president announces his plan for a program to put veterans to work, rebuilding trails and roads and levees on public lands. That's like Civilian Conservation Corps, WPA style stuff, and it is for veterans. It is probably the most direct and efficient way to deal with unemployment in a group like this, and it's veterans. And I therefore dare the Republicans to try to block this idea. You will hear from the veterans and veteran supporters and everybody who has ever understood Econ 101 if you do. Today, not just for a Friday, but for any news day, there was just a giant pool of news. And the huge deal news story that was barely noticed in the giant pool of news today was this one.
Why should any American citizen be kicked out of their homes in this cold weather in Ohio? It's going to be 10, 20 below zero. Don't leave your home. Because you know what? When those companies say they have your mortgage, unless you have a lawyer that can put his finger or her finger on that mortgage, you don't have that mortgage. And you're going to find they can't find the paper up there on Wall Street. So I say to the American people, you'll be squatters in your own homes. Don't you leave.
That was not today. That was 3 years ago. You're going to find they can't find the paper up there on Wall Street. That was Marcy Kaptur. As the tidal wave of foreclosures was hitting in the midst of the financial crisis, Marcy Kaptur, Democrat of Ohio, on the floor of the House was exactly right. The people trying to kick you out of your house, the Wall Street firm or the bank trying to kick you out of your house, might not actually hold your mortgage. In order to use mortgages, in order to use your house as a casino chip so they could bet on it and profit on it and trade it like it wasn't a house, it was just a piece of paper, they had to turn your mortgage into a piece of paper or into an electronic record. And in the process of doing that, in lots of cases, they pretty much legally gave up their right to foreclose on you and kick you out of your house. When they're turning houses into casino chips, destroyed the economy and destroyed the housing market so you couldn't pay your mortgage anymore. And today, in the midst of all of this other higher profile news, the crusading attorney general of the state of New York, Democrat Eric Schneiderman, brought a huge lawsuit against some of the biggest names on Wall Street, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, over what they did to homeowners, over whether or not this is legal. And whether or not this lawsuit made it onto the front page today, it has two huge implications for the country. Number one, accountability. Accountability for the man-made disaster that was the financial catastrophe at the end of the Bush presidency. Accountability, that's one. Eric Schneiderman himself explained that part of it when he was here on this show recently.
There are a lot of folks who are trying to rewrite history and paint it like it was a volcano or an earthquake, and that now we can move on to the problem of paying too much to cops and teachers and firefighters. This was a man-made crisis. It was created by regulatory neglect and greed. And I assure you, without telling you anything about secrets of our investigation, we have not found a trace of evidence that a cop, firefighter, teacher, or sanitation worker contributed to blowing up the American economy. We think we have to hold accountable the people who caused this disaster.
So number one, accountability. The other big consequence of this big lawsuit today, this lawsuit against Wall Street filed by Eric Schneiderman, is that Eric Schneiderman is now part of the face of the Obama administration on accountability for Wall Street. As announced in the State of the Union address, Schneiderman has been brought on board the Obama Justice Department's new fraud-fighting unit to deal with Wall Street crime. So the Obama White House, frankly, in raw political terms, is no longer being overshadowed on stuff like that by more progressive state attorneys general like Eric Schneiderman. Eric Schneiderman is now working with them. And so, yeah, it's accountability. But for the sake of national politics, it's also that this is the unified Democratic side now. And on the other side, speaking for the Republicans on this issue, is this guy.
Don't try and stop the foreclosure process. Let it run its course and hit the bottom.
Now, the banks aren't bad people. They're just overwhelmed right now. The banks are scared to death, of course. They're feeling the same thing that you're feeling.
Bank feelings.